All right, support for today's program comes to us from PuroClean's Veterans Initiative. It's the PuroVet program, investing in our nation's heroes by helping them own and operate thriving local businesses. That's right. If you're a veteran, you want a business, you're at the front of the line with PuroVet's program. You can go to purovet.com as part of PuroClean. They're a great reclamation company that has franchises all over America. 855-PuroVet to find out more. Joining me now is a woman who's in the fight to save the Senate seat of Susan Collins in the state of Maine. Susan Collins often maligned by those on the right, but the truth of the matter is the options, the alternatives are worse. Laurel Libby is a Maine state representative and the lead Maine committee president. Laurel, welcome to the program.
Thanks so much for having me.
Now, my friends in Maine, I'm on stations in Maine. I'm on the Lobster Network there every day. I love my friends in Maine. And they tell me that Susan Collins is going to win this race, but it's not going to be any cakewalk, is it?
You know, it's not going to be a cakewalk, but this seat that Senator Collins is running for re-election here in Maine is a critical seat to maintaining a Republican Senate majority. And so we are excited to be supporting Senator Collins, and we know that she's the right Republican to hold this seat and help maintain that majority.
You know, I point out here at the top here just a moment ago, a lot of people on the right, they go after Susan Collins. She's not conservative enough. She's not this enough. She's Maine enough, though. She is a Maine citizen. That's why she wins by 10 points every time she runs, even when she's predicted to lose, because she connects so well with the people of Maine. And look, a word of warning to those that would take issue with Senator Collins. The alternative, like I said, is far worse. If you want another Angus King, that's what you'll end up with. And that's not a good scenario, is it?
No, it certainly isn't. Look, Mainers are independent-minded, strong-willed, hard-working people. You know the lobstermen, it sounds like, up here in Maine and others.
Sure.
And that certainly describes Senator Susan Collins. She represents Mainers well in D.C., and we know that she's the right candidate for this seat. And certainly partnering with Sentinel Action Fund, we're strongly supporting Senator Collins, and we know that we need to turn out every Mainer to keep this seat, and that's low propensity voters, that's early voters, absentee, and day of voters. So I'm excited about this partnership with Sentinel Action Fund to support Senator Collins next year.
Now, one of the people running for the Democrats is the Governor Janet Mills. Tell me about Maine under the last few years of Janet Mills' leadership in the state of Maine.
You know, we've seen Governor Janet Mills over the last 6, almost 7 years now, and the changes that she's made to our state. Mainers understand that Senator Collins versus Janet Mills, we have a clear candidate here, and that is Senator Collins. Governor Mills has, from the start of her time in Maine, whether we're talking about COVID and the harsh restrictions that she laid down on Mainers, or the way that she's driven the budget up, 65% Mainers are struggling. They're struggling with the cost of energy. Our students are floundering in school. We have the worst test scores that we've had in years. No matter which industry you look at, Maine is struggling, and we can't afford 6 more years of Janet Mills in the Senate.
True. I agree with you on that. So, any polling numbers at this point, Laurel? Any idea, any indication where we are? Look, the polling numbers the last time around told us that Susan Collins was going to lose. She didn't. She won significantly, I think by double digits, by 10 points, if I'm not mistaken. It's because she connects with Maine people. She doesn't just vote with her party. She takes position sometimes at the chagrin of those on the right when it comes to Supreme Court nominees, for example. She has an independent streak, and she's not going to change that, is she?
Look, folks tried to count Susan Collins out at the last election, and that was a mistake. She connects with the voters that she needs to in Maine, and she connects with those independent-minded folks who support her in every election. And I have no doubt that this will be the case this time around. We're excited here at Lead Maine Committee to be partnering with Sentinel Action Fund to turn out those conservatives that need to vote in Maine, whether we're talking about the early vote, absentee, day of voters. We need to turn out every conservative in support of this Senate seat and make sure that we hold this majority. And we know that Senator Susan Collins is the candidate that can get that job done.
I think the big thing that Republicans need to focus on, and you tell me your thoughts on this, Laurel, and that is affordability. I believe that Mamdani in New York City tapped into the same vein that Donald Trump did last November. And that's affordability. That's giving the American dream a chance for people to get into their first home before they're 40, to pay for groceries without worrying whether they can pick up their prescription medications on the same day as well. Affordability is probably just as acute in Maine as it is everywhere else. And that is the term that's going to power this election, I believe, especially with young people. How does Senator Collins connect to people between 18 and 30?
You know, that's an important point. Mainers care at the end of the day about their pocketbooks and being able to put food on the table for their children. And certainly, I think the folks in New York voted against their own interests in that front, and they'll learn that, unfortunately, over time. I'm eager for Mainers to understand that connection between their pocketbooks and who is in office in the Senate, so they don't make that same mistake, and instead support Senator Susan Collins and make sure that that our costs don't go through the roof with a Democrat majority in D.C. We're already struggling under Governor Mills here in Maine. Folks struggle to pay for their energy due to the extreme agenda that's promoting green everything over common sense and costing Mainers dearly. And so we want to be sure that she doesn't end up in Washington trying to pass those same initiatives. And so we're eager, as folks protect their wallets, to see Senator Collins back in office in 26.
It's going to take big money, $4 million, the boost that you're getting from Sentinel Action Fund through a partnership with the Lead Maine committee that you head. It's going to take a lot of money to win every Senate seat in America held by Republicans or Democrats, I believe. Any race that's contested is going to be millions of dollars. I'll give you the last word on that. How much money is it going to take to hold that seat and tell people the truth about Susan Collins?
You know, I have no doubt it's going to be an expensive race. The Democrats want to win this seat. This is an important seat for both sides as they seek the majority. And so it's important that we turn out conservatives across our state, making sure that they understand the stakes here, what we're facing as an alternative here in Maine, and make sure that conservatives get out, that we get out the early vote, that we get out the absentee vote, and that we get out the day of voters, making sure that any low propensity conservative voters turn out and vote, and that they vote for Susan Collins.
And I say to conservatives, you know, she may not be your favorite some days. I get it. But like I keep telling you, the alternative is far worse. She connects with the people there, and she votes for smaller government. She votes for America first, and those things you should take into consideration. How do people find out more about this Senate run?
Well, certainly folks can visit leadmaine.com for more information about all that we're doing here in Maine to win our state back and ensure that we hold that conservative majority next year.
Laurel, appreciate you being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
There you have it. And look, I just counsel my conservative friends, the ones that are saying, well, we can't deal with. You're not going to get a conservative like you imagine one elected in Maine. You're going to get Susan Collins, who's pragmatic. And again, maybe not your favorite. I understand that. But you should support candidates like Susan Collins because, again, the alternative is so much worse. The alternative is Angus King or Bernie Sanders or something even worse. Keep that in mind. I'll take a break and talk about American business after this.